Okay, hello everybody, welcome to TìandTarot, or welcome back to TìandTarot if you've been here before. So today's tarot reading is going to be a little bit different because we're actually going to look into what goddess energy you're emulating right now. You know, like what energy are you putting out there? Or it could be that you are unintentionally kind of like aligning yourself with, connecting with them a little bit in some of your ways of being, in your beliefs, in maybe what you want. Like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, like, I don't know if any of you have seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you haven't, what are you doing with your life? Go and watch it. But basically there's like a scene in there where a character called Willow, who is a witch, is feeling a lot of pain, and her pain is essentially crying out and calling out to a demon who essentially tries to like recruit her to be a vengeance demon who gets revenge on the people who have wronged her. And she's like, no thank you, and it's just like, oh okay, well here's my card, give me a call if you need it. Like, it's kind of like that, like whatever you're feeling and exuding, the energy you're putting out into the world is aligning you a little bit with this type of god. And so we're going to be looking into who that god is and why, like what is it that you're doing, what is it that you're putting out there, and what kind of support will this give you, what powers, what energy are you kind of getting from this connection. So we have 3 piles for you to choose from today, pile 1, 2 and 3, and there are several ways that you can pick your pile. So you can either pick your pile based on the crystal or object on top, which I will get into with you now. So for pile 1 we have Brecciated Jasper. For pile 2 we have 2 pieces of Hematite, and for pile 3 we have a bloodstone. Other ways you can pick your pile is based on the number of the pile, or based on the numbers in the timestamps in the description box below. So for example, if like the number 13 really resonated with you and the timestamp was like 1314, that would kind of indicate that that's the pile for you. So you could do it that way. You could also pick based on your zodiac sign, which I will include in the description box below, for you to find and then pick your pile. Sometimes I let Kit pick the pile, but she's not up here at the minute, so I think you're out of luck on that front. But yeah, those are the options. Or you could go with the traditional option, which is to pick the pile that you are most drawn to based on the energy of the pile. You know, what one is resonating with you, what one's calling to you, what one is drawing you in. Once you have picked your pile, there will be a timestamp in the description box below for you to find your reading more easily, and I will meet you there. Bye. Okay, hello my pile ones, welcome to your reading. So you chose the Brecciated Jasper, and your oracle card is Cozy. Okay, so this card is kind of about self-care, putting the self first, feeling very grounded and comfortable and connected, doing things that align with you and make you feel good. And that can also mean doing things for other people as well. The god that's kind of like popping into my head, or the mythological being, whatever you want to call it, but I would say goddess. The goddess popping into my head is Medusa, and I'll tell you why. And I think it's because, to me, like, Medusa is someone who just tried to keep herself to herself, and that is the cozy card. It's kind of being like introverted, internal, but you know, there's still like a connection there with everybody else. But unfortunately other people took it upon themselves to you know, violate her in many different ways, until she was a completely different person visually from who she truly was. And still she just tried to keep herself to herself, and people went out of their way to like go and hunt her and like behead her, and they're like, I'm gonna tackle this once and for all. And it's like, there's nothing to tackle. She's minding her business. Like, there's literally nothing to tackle. She has a defense mechanism now, and you're afraid of that, so you feel justified in going after her. So it's very silly. To me, it gives Medusa, because she really did just try and keep herself to herself, cause no drama, but the drama found her. You know, with people changing the way that she looked and giving her this, both a gift and a curse in a sense. And I see just like her trying to keep herself to herself, being surrounded by like her snakes, who are her only source of comfort and companionship. And that's what's kind of coming through to me with the cozy. Just because I see her as that type of person. I also actually have a Medusa like busk. Is it called a busk? Bust? It's a candle. But I actually have one, and I keep it at home with me, and genuinely I've got a few spooky stories around it, but this, I swear to God, this candle has helped me out time and time again. Okay, there was somebody, I won't say when or who, but there was somebody who basically just wasn't a good person for me to be around or influenced by, and I left them alone in my room while I went to like the loo. And I'm not saying they did anything, but I had noticed my stuff going missing and, you know, other things. So I'm guessing they were snooping. But when I came back from the toilet, they were terrified, standing outside of my room but holding the door open because they didn't know if I had keys or not. So they didn't want to like fully leave, but they had half left with like the foot in the door so that I could come back and still get into my room. But they looked terrified, and I got back and I was like, what's wrong with you? And they just said that all on its own, the Medusa candle had turned and like looked at them. Now I know that bitch was snooping, okay? I know they were snooping, and I know it probably knocked all the books down on my shelf, which then knocked the Medusa head, which then turned the Medusa head. But either way, the way that everything had fallen, the way it looked, it did kind of look like it had moved on its own, because the books didn't have the kind of weight to move it. It's a very heavy candle, and the books weren't actually close enough to kind of move it. So it does look like it moved on its own. And I was like, either way, she was helping her brother out, okay? Because she was like, look at this snooper, get your filthy hands off her book. Like, so she, you know, I feel like even if the books moved it, cool, that person got spooked and stopped snooping. Good. Mission accomplished. But even if the books didn't move it and it moved of its own volition, that was to help me out. And so ever since then, I'm like, this is a special candle. I gotta keep this candle around. So I keep it around for like good energy. So yeah, that's kind of, I keep it in at home with me. You know, it's my cozy candle, my home candle. So that's the goddess that's popping into my head. Maybe it's just the one popping in because it's like, that one's always on my mind, but that's the one I'm getting. So for those of you who don't know, but you probably do, Medusa had a really tragic backstory. She was a very beautiful woman who this man was basically like, you know, decided to violate her. I don't think I can say the word on YouTube, but that's so stupid because we should be able to call out what these things are. This censorship is crazy. Because of that, another goddess, don't remember her name, basically made her have a head full of snakes instead of hair, and anyone she looked at would turn to stone. This is both, I feel like, a gift, but also kind of malicious, because I feel like the person was very much blaming Medusa for what happened and gave her this curse in a sense, because she was like, you deserve to suffer in a sense. And like, why should she be the one who has everything about her changed instead of the perpetrator, you know? But at the same time, it was also kind of a blessing, and I don't know if she was aware of that or if this was just accidental, but it's a blessing in the sense that now that Medusa has the power to defend herself and protect herself, and automatically people are going to be off-put by like her appearance, so they might like avoid her kind of thing, which is fantastic because that's what she wanted. So in a sense it kind of helped in that way, and essentially she could turn people to stone with one look. Later on, another fella, can't remember his name, was like, she's like terrorizing the town, turning people to stone. No, she isn't. She's like living alone in her cave, living her best life. And so he was like, I'm gonna go behead her, and I'm gonna bring back her head as proof that like I caught it, and the head is supposed to still be able to turn people to stone, so you have to keep the eyes covered when like she or the snakes look at you, kind of thing. Really nasty, horrible story, but Medusa has become a symbol of vindication, resilience for women who are survivors of any kind of SA or gendered-based violence. She represents someone who was resilient, who managed to survive through that, and she also represents the kind of like witchy trial way that men go after women in a patriarchal society, but in the same way that like, rather than be like, oh, she's told her story, this man did this bad thing, let's get him, instead it was like, let's vilify her and then we'll get her, you know? So it represents that as well. I actually have a card in here in this deck, let me get it, that represents that actually. I can't believe I forgot that this card was in here. Yeah, this one, here we go. I don't think I'm allowed to show this, but yeah, this is my Medusa strength card actually, which for some reason I just connected to this cozy card. That is the one that's kind of coming up for you, and I want to find out why. What is it about you? What energy are you releasing? And okay, I've pulled out the wrong deck, but maybe that means it was the right deck, but it's not the deck I intended to use. So we've got the Three of Wands. For what energy are you kind of like putting out there? What are you doing that's creating this? The Three of Swords in reverse. And the Five of Cups in reverse. It's interesting that you've got 2 3s in reverse. Like 3 upright and then 3 in reverse. You've got a lot of self-forgiveness cards. Because the 3 of Swords in reverse and the 5 of Cups in reverse are both about self-forgiveness and moving on. And then the 3 of Wands is progress and expansion. I can definitely see that the reason you're connecting with like Medusa right now, the reason you've got similarities there, is because of feelings and emotions within you. So it's, again, like that Willow scene in Buffy. Your pain is like kind of calling out, in a sense, your feelings, your emotions. So the 3 of Swords, there's a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, a lot of ruined, destroyed relationships and connections. And that can really affect your sense of self and who you see yourself to be. But because that's in reverse, it implies that even if you've gone through periods of time where you think you're the problem, or you think you deserve those things, or you think that you caused those things, the illusions start to fade away with time as you begin to heal, and you realise that none of that is true, and that was just what you were told to keep you in that place. So I can see that you've probably been through heartache in relationships, difficulty, struggles, pain, suffering. And it doesn't have to be in the same way that Medusa has suffered, but it's definitely something that requires you to be strong in order to recover from it. And with the Strength card, with the Medusa here, this is about leaning on friends and support who are good for you, as well as uplifting yourself, because Medusa did kind of have to pick herself back up, but she had the dependent of like the codependency of her snakes, keeping her company, her pets, her friends, you know. So it's about receiving support as well as supporting yourself and turning things around for yourself and finding stability within yourself as well. You're turning things around and you're moving on by forgiving yourself. So by forgiving yourself, what I mean is like you probably blamed yourself for whatever happened, or you potentially just took longer to recognize things weren't your fault. You took longer to heal, longer to recover, and you might be someone who's mad at yourself for that, and you're like, why didn't I see things sooner? Why didn't I see the problems? Why didn't I leave earlier? Why didn't I do this? You reflect on it and you feel really bad, and you question why you didn't do the best you could have done in the situation, or you didn't act quick enough. You tend to victim blame, not because you are a victim blamer. The font outside is crazy right now. Not because you blame victims, but because we're in a society that blames victims, which you internalize for yourself, which is so unfair. But like, our internal monologue does do society's work for it. It does help the patriarchy, help capitalism, help white supremacy, help colonialism. Unfortunately, our internal dialogues are influenced by these things. And so even if you don't believe that, and you wouldn't do that to anybody else, you're harsher to yourself. But now you're recognizing to forgive yourself for that. How were you supposed to know? How were you supposed to predict the future? How were you supposed to know that was going to happen? How did you know? You wouldn't have hung out with that person or signed up for these connections or been around these people if you had ever thought for 1 second that heartbreak would be a possible future. You were misled. That wasn't on you. And so you're recognizing to forgive yourself for not, you know, quote unquote, picking up on the signs sooner, or knowing they were bad somehow just straight off the bat. And you're forgiving yourself for any pain you've caused yourself by blaming yourself. And you're giving yourself permission to move on and leave the past in the past. And that doesn't mean ignoring it, but it means moving on from dwelling on it, letting it take over your every single second of your waking being. You're finally allowing yourself to move on, and that is allowing you to progress and to change and to be better and to move on to a brighter, better future where you're no longer being stuck in these full emotions and being held back. Something I'm noticing in the 3 of Swords and the 5 of Cups in reverse, these are full moons, full of emotion, completely at your max capacity, full of so much energy. And by the 3 of Wands, something has been released, because now we're getting that crescent moon. Something's been released, something's been let go of, and now you can move forward into your new cycle of life. You're prioritizing self-care and putting yourself first, and taking care of yourself and being kinder to yourself, which is why this cozy card has come up. I feel like these string of hearts in her like knitted sweater are representing the love that you're pouring back into yourself in order to mend this broken heart as well. So what does this connection mean for you? What will it kind of bring into your life? Oh, we have the Emperor. Oh, that's amazing. Stability. This connection that you're kind of having right now with this particular goddess, with Medusa, this connection you're having will bring you a sense of stability and strength, as well as feeling more secure in your sense of trusting yourself, your independence, your ability to take control of this situation and take back your power in it, as well as your ability to support, lead and guide others who have been through similar things. Just had another roll of thunder. I feel like I'm being backed up by what I'm saying right now, by the universe. Every time I say something, the thunder's rolling out there. You are coming back with a vengeance, bitch. I think the vengeance word is popping into my head. Vindication. You are supporting others and helping others, not just yourself, but you're basically being a symbol, just like Medusa. You're a symbol of recovery, of I could do that, I could be like that person, and I could change and improve and still have a future and hold a future for myself, hold space for myself, despite what I've been through, and like not be held back by anyone and their comments and anyone else's beliefs about the situation. I think you're blazing a path for others to recover and heal as well. That's something I'm really strongly seeing. That's what's kind of the outcome of this situation. I want to get more outcomes, so we're going to take a look at some runes. Okay, the runes I have pulled for you are these three here. So the one that's kind of shaped like a bee is the Bacano rune. The one that's kind of shaped like an arrow is the Tiwaz rune. And the one that's kind of shaped like a X or a cross is the Geba rune. So definitely because of this connection, you're entering a new phase in your life. You're being reborn as someone completely different, as someone who holds spaces for victims, who holds space for heartache and recovery, rather than, feeling regret or sad or shameful about it. You're also someone who is holding space for relationships with people, like friendships and connections, whatever it is to you. You're doing whatever feels best for you when it comes to relationships, but you're definitely building new connections, I think, with other people who have been through similar things. But either way, your outlook on relationships is not being tarnished. You're just having a new perspective on relationships and situations. I also think you're being gifted something. There's an exchange here. Because of your connection with Medusa, you're being gifted something. You're receiving something through an offering. I think you're either offering something or she's offering something. But it's kind of like that Willow thing again that I said, where it's like the demon reached out to her and was like, basically trying to recruit her. Like, do you want a job? It's like that. There's some sort of exchange happening here that will be like a gift to you that you'll be very grateful for. And I think that has something to do with bravery, with fighting for justice. I think you're going to be given something in order to make your fight for justice for yourself and others an easier, smoother, plain sailing process. One where maybe you get victory. But either way, you're being given something that is going to make you so much braver, and you're willing to sacrifice in the meantime, in the temporary, in order for the greater good as well. There's definitely something about this connection improving things for the better, for you and for others, for the greater good, for justice. There's something around justice and bravery here. That is something I'm getting very strongly. I just pulled another card to see what the gift was, and you got the Eight of Swords. So I think you are being untrapped. You're being freed from something, and you're no longer going to be trapped in this self-imposed prison, and that's a bit of a gift for you, is that you're going to be freed from that. And something about the Eight of Swords is that you have to pick up the sword, one of them, mainly this powerful one with like this special light in the front, to kind of create a path of freedom for yourself, to untie yourself from like the ropes or restraints around you. So you're being given a sword, like a thing, not a physical thing, but some sort of way to escape this situation and help others and create a path for them and to fight for victory. You're being given all the ammo you need, all the tools you need to fight for victory. So that was your reading, part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you felt drawn to any other piles, please feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on Team Tarot. Bye! Okay, hello my pile 2s. Welcome to your reading. If you can hear the thunder rolling outside, just roll with it, you know. So we've got the 2 hematite stones, and this is your oracle card. So you have home. The goddess that's kind of popping into my mind now, because you have home, which can be about so many different things, but the reason why this one's popping into my head is because she can move from this world to the next world, and she often goes down into hell to basically check up on and make sure that Persephone is safe and doing well, because, you know, she was taken there against her will by Hades. So the person that's popping into my head is Hecate. I would actually call her Hecate but I know everyone calls her Hecate, so I'm gonna say Hecate. But I would actually call her Hecate because it derives from the name Catherine, Katie, Cat, derives from Hecate. So the C-A-T-E at the end could be seen as pronounced as how you would say Kate. So Hecate or Hecate, you know, not Hecate. But we'll go with Hecate because that's what everybody says. But anyway, she will like go to check in on Persephone, who is like homesick, and make sure she's okay, and she can travel to her and give her that piece of home within herself and make her feel comfortable. She's the protector of like women, for those of you who don't know, women and children. She has a few symbols surrounding her, so like a 3-headed dog like Cerberus, for example, because she can get past Cerberus to get into the gates of hell. So that represents her, as well as the fact that she is like a free faceted kind of person. So she is like the 3 heads of the dog. So she is the 3 sides of a woman, the mother, the crone, the maiden. So she represents all these different cycles and phases and pathways, and a key almost, because she can access things. In some ideologies, she can like control the weather, and she is just very connected to everything. So that's why home is kind of popping up into my mind, because this is someone who is like caring and considerate and protects people in and out of their home, brings home to them if they're like feeling away. So that's why she's kind of popped into my head. So let's see, why is it that you're connecting with Hecate? So we have the 6 of Cups. So we're basically trying to see, what is it that you're doing? Are you kind of releasing an energy? Are you reaching out directly? What is it? So we've got Judgment and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. The Judgment card is making me feel like you're actually like directly reaching out with the trumpet, like making a noise, calling to them. You might specifically be asking Hecate for like help and advice and stuff, or potentially doing like spells and things to try to make that connection there. Also, trumpets are like a natural, like, you know, the trumpet sounds that can happen in the sky, and it's just a natural, normal like phenomenon. And I'm pretty sure it's just like, you know how like the wind howls as it goes through buildings because of the kind of like vortex that's kind of created. So that sound is just like a natural, normal sound that just happens, but people see it as a bit of a spectacle or a phenomenon. So kind of what's popping into my head with the little trumpet there is that this is just a natural connection, that maybe you've always actually had this connection. Maybe you were born with it, or born with a connection to like Hecate, and for that reason there's that connection there. So there's definitely a reaching out and a reaching back. So connection is being made, especially with the 6 of Cups. There's 2 people holding the cup there, so there is like you're getting a response basically. And as well, that hand kind of reaching down from the Ace of Pentacles, because it's in reverse, it looks like the hand is reaching down like to somebody. So it definitely feels like there is a back and forth, like, and that is just a natural connection. So that might be why you feel drawn to this goddess, or why you are able to get a reply, wanting to reach out, feeling that connection, feeling drawn to that particular goddess, is probably because it is something you're connected to anyway. So what will this connection bring to you? How will this like kind of benefit you? What's the result of this? So we have the 5 of Swords and the Hermit both in reverse. Let's see if we have any other cards that want to come out. Oh, we have the Emperor. This actually came out in pile 1 for the end result. Okay, so this card really wants to come out for you. It tried coming out when I was shuffling those, but I put it back in. and it just came out now, so I'm bringing this out, but this is the Page of Wands as well. Really wanted to come out for you, that one. It's interesting, you've got quite a lot of like black cat imagery, because you've got a black cat at the bottom of the Emperor, but then you also have a black cat in the home card right there on the top of the roof, chillaxing, you know. Kiponio is visiting, so you've got a third black cat now. 3 is the lucky number, 3 is the charm. Yes, beautiful girl. So yeah, the way that she's helping you is she's helping you to be a free spirit, but to feel stable in that. So when you think of a home, it's stable, it's stagnant usually. Like usually it doesn't move unless you live in like a tiny home or a trailer or something. Typically a home doesn't move location, although you might move homes from time to time. So she's giving you a sense of stability with that free spirit, with your ability to move and to go where home feels right, to feel comfortable in all different scenarios. That's what she's giving you. She's giving you free spirit and that stability and that strength, and to break free from isolation with that Hermit in reverse, to give you the freedom to do that, or to seek isolation if that's what you want, because I do think of Hecate as like a lone spirit in the sense that she goes around helping others, but who's there to help her, you know? So I do think of that as well, so potentially that as well. I think this connection to Hecate will also help you to reconcile relationships you have with mothers, women, children, the women in your life. This compassion she's giving you for those people might actually help to reconcile and for you to make amends with those people as well, and to provide some support and protection and a helping hand, especially with like being a leader with the Emperor, to provide that support. Okay, and I want to get some runes to kind of see some more information on what this like connection is kind of doing, bringing. Chicken nugget. Kiboni is visiting. She's probably going to try and eat the flowers on the table. We hope not, for her belly. We hope not, for your belly's sake. Yeah. Bye, baby. So these are your runes. I just want to show you them up close and personal before I actually put them down on the table, because trust me, you won't see them otherwise. So with the Algiz rune, this is essentially represented by an elk, and it's about luck and protection. So your connection with Hecate is giving you luck and protection. It's also giving you the power to protect others as well, and luck is definitely there, because I think about how lucky it is for Hecate to kind of be this like lone wolf, moving where she needs to go, going where she needs to go, helping others. You know, she wasn't trapped and held hostage like Persephone was. She was instead able to just like try and provide some sense of peace for Persephone, while essentially kind of being her lawyer and fighting for justice against Hades, because I think she managed to grant her some time a year at home, or time with her mum or something like that. So essentially like she's in a very lucky position in the sense that she wasn't ensnared like other people have been, and she's able to kind of move around and provide that support. So in a sense, with the Algiz rune, she's very lucky and protected, and that's passing on luck and protection to you. I do also think your connection to Hecate is giving you a connection to your higher self and who you are, learning from what she does and who she is, and learning from her example will really help to convey to you who you are and help you to find yourself. Also, when you think of the home, this is your sanctuary, this is your safe space. You are your own sanctuary. She's given that to you because wherever you go, you can feel at home, you can feel comfortable. With the Dagaz rune, which is like awakening to enlightenment, the light of gods, this brightness, this kind of daytime light, this inspiration, I'm so strongly getting that you are like really divinely connected. You're connected to higher powers that you can tap into whenever you want. If you don't practice divination, I would encourage you to like get into spell work if that's something you're interested in, because I think you would find that you're very, very powerful in that avenue. And then you also have the Manaz rune. So this connection is definitely giving you divine potential. That's getting reaffirmed here. But also it's giving you the ability to develop your talents in this area in terms of protecting women, standing up for women and children, almost fighting for their rights. You might be a lawyer or something, especially with that Judgment card. But yeah, definitely fighting for other people's rights and putting humanity first, but finding that balance in the sense of balancing the scale. Although I would encourage you to try and go for equity. But you know, if you want to try and balance the scales out for people who have been pushed down, then that's very much what you're being helped to do. I would encourage going for equity, trying to even the score. So if, just for those of you, if you're not sure, equality would be like giving 50-50 to both. But if one side has continuously been oppressed, 50-50 isn't actually giving them equality because they're so far behind. So you actually need to do like 80-20 to even the score. But yeah, so that's what I'm kind of getting here. I especially want to emphasize that luck and protection as well. That's coming in really, really strong for you. This reminds me of Impractical Magic, where she puts all the flower petals in a bowl and makes a wish and they float off to the moon, because that's what it looks like, because the moon energy is coming out of the cup. So yeah, I feel like your power lies in witchcraft and spell work. I feel like you could do a lot there. 100%. So that is what I see for you, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and if you felt drawn to any other piles, please feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye! Hello my pile 3s, welcome to your reading all about what goddess energy you're emulating right now. So you picked the Bloodstone and you have Patience. Okay, I'm gonna go with Athena with Patience, because Athena is essentially like a god of war. She is very practical, strategic, mathematical. She has to plan, in order to win war, she has to plan out very efficiently, very effectively. She has to think about everything that could go wrong and solutions to that. She has to think about the geography and how they're going to ambush and how they're going to, like, what tactics they're going to do and where they're going to do it from. So they have to think about angles. You also have to be really good at, like, precision and aim, because you're, you know, fighting, you're firing arrows, things like that. But she had to be patient in the sense that even when she won, even when she was victorious, because the odds are stacked against her in a patriarchal society, despite the fact that she won, her male rulers were mad that she won. And because they're in charge, they could then be like, well, even though you won, we're still not going to give you what you want. And actively took away her and other women's rights. I think it was, she like led a successful battle against Poseidon to rule as the Queen of Athens, but Poseidon punished the women and her by removing their right to vote. They were stripped of their mother's name and forced to take their father's name. And so it's kind of, with the Patient card, it's like no matter how much other people set you back or push you back down, you will continue to grow and get to where you need to go. But because you're coming at it from a strategic, like, mathematical standpoint and really calculated, that also takes time and adds more time onto it, because you've got to be really like, okay, so this is how we're going to do it, and we've got to cover this kind of backlash that we could face, and we have to prepare for this, and, you know, we have to put effort into building the armour to make sure it goes, like, it's really good at protecting us. So there's a lot of time and patience that goes into that, but regardless, you will never stop growing, you will never stop trying. So that's why she's kind of popping into my head. And remember, she was born for this fight, she was born for this battle, so no matter how much they try and oppress her, it's not gonna work. Why do you have this connection? Oh, came out straight away. So you have the 5 of Cups. Why do you have this connection with Athena right now? What's going on? Oh, we have the Devil in reverse. I think you're awakening to something. I think someone has pushed your buttons too much. I definitely think you're awakening to something, because you have the Fool card, so that's like the start, the sort of naivety, the journey, beginning. But yeah, definitely with that 6 of Wands going into battle, that victory, I think someone has pushed your buttons. Maybe it's society, maybe it's like how bad women's rights are right now and how things are just progressively getting worse and worse and worse. I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day, about how things were never good for women, just want to clarify that. But for our previous generations, our like grandparents and stuff, things were really, really, really bad for them. But because things are getting so much worse by the day, it almost makes their situation look good. Even though it wasn't, and we know it wasn't, because we, you know, have learned from their stories and their experiences. But it's like, that's how bad things are. That's how bad things are right now. Like, you know, taking away women's rights to choose what they do with their body in terms of like abortion and things, in keeping a deceased and decaying body as an incubator, everything, starting like camps for like harvesting women's eggs, just things happening all over the place is just absolutely disgusting. And so I feel like with the Devil card in reverse, someone has pushed your buttons, but you've broken free from seeing all these things happen in your timeline in real life, has broken you free from some sort of misconception about the world we're in. You've broken free from the illusions that this world has tried to tell you. You've broken free from all the shit people say to you to make you think you're not oppressed. That's what's happening, and that's starting like an internal rage within you. And so the reason you have a connection to Athena is because you're embodying her spirit. Like, you just feel called to it and you're embodying it. So you're starting this journey where you're going to sort of go into battle and go after what you want. And even if the road ahead looks tough, even if it looks like you've got everything you want, just stop now and don't even bother fighting. You want to fight for justice, and so you're persevering and you're moving forward anyway. There's definitely a sense of like a fire being lit within you, because the Six of Wands, they're holding like the fire in their hand. With the Devil, they're surrounded by that fire and they're chained to it and they're feeling it. Like, the longer you're kind of being burned at the stake, the angrier you're getting, and the more you want to take that and use it as something you can use against your oppressor. Like, this fire is being used against you, but here you've harnessed the fire and you're using it for its intended purpose. And here you've kind of just captured an essence of that fire as well. So yeah, and you're calling on, because this moon is surrounded by very red fiery light, so you're calling on the fire of Athena to help you with your desire to fight for justice and fight for what's right. Let's see what this connection will bring for you. What will it bring into your life? We have the Three of Wands. We have the Ace of Cups. We have the Nine of Cups. You're nurturing yourself and your love for yourself and your community and the people around you. You're very much putting yourself first, taking care of yourself. I see a lot of isolation, but like you're happy in that. Like, she is happily smiling to herself. This person's contemplating. Like, it's like putting yourself first and caring about yourself and loving yourself first and foremost. That's kind of what I'm getting. You might even be abstaining from dating as well. That's kind of what I'm getting, because that might have a connection here for you. With the Three of Wands, I think the result here is that you're making progress. Your choices, your decisions, your actions will have an effect. You're expanding your mind and your thoughts on this situation, and you're also helping others to see it too. I think, as I said with the Ace of Cups, you're putting yourself first, but you're also building new relationships, I think, with others in terms of not romantic relationships, but in terms of like alliances. And then with the Nine of Cups, I'm seeing that you're really content with your achievements, your efforts, what you're doing, and you feel really satisfied with everything you've built and created because of this connection to Athena right now, this kind of war within you. I also want to get some runes and see just some more info on what this connection is kind of bringing, doing. These are your runes. I just want to show you them before I put them on the board. So with the Jera rune, you're going to be rewarded for your efforts, for what you're going to be reaping what you sow, basically. By the way, I think black cats might be a really good omen for you right now. But you're going to be rewarded for the efforts you put towards seeking justice for oppressed groups. I also think, namely women, but just in general oppressed groups, finding ways to share your voice, share your opinions, and support the groups who are being targeted. These are things that matter to you, and you fighting against these things will be really self-fulfilling for you, and you're reaping what you sow. The peace that you're seeking, you'll get back in return. The peace that you're fighting for, the respect and the rights you're fighting for will be given back to you in return. But of course, with Athena's story, it's worth pointing out it is just a long time coming, and it's a long process, and there will be setbacks from people who don't even care if you follow all the rules and you do things right. They can play dirty because they rule everything, so you kind of have to play dirty too. So that's kind of what's coming through as well. With the Hagalaz rune, so it's represented by hail. So what popped into my mind is kind of rain down chaos, like bring hail, bring storms. But yes, this is just a reminder that there will be delays, temporary difficulties, there will be a change of plan, as there always is when you're growing, when you're changing, if you're like Athena and you're planning for war, there are always changes, but you have to be prepared for them and adapt to them. And it will be caused by those people who are working against you, who just want their evil corruption to reign. And then we have the Daggaz rune. So there will be victory for you, because this is about the light of the gods. You will have support by your side. Like, of the spiritual world of goddesses, there's an awakening to enlightenment, and there is daylight, which is like victory. It's the success of the sun, you know. So you will always have that support backing you. And that is what your connection to Athena is bringing. That was your reading pole 3. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. If you felt drawn to any other piles, please feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading or tarot related video on TìandTarot.